media, sorry for keeping you waiting for a long time. It's just that, you know, there are so many things that are happening here at Parliament. And so, briefly, we shall like to review so that we just get to know, because I think we owe it to the members of the public to know what is happening to their national institution. As you know, this is the time we are considering the budget for 2024. So it's a very critical period which requires all of us to participate so that our members of the public know where we are appropriating money and how the money is going to be spent. But unfortunately, we have ended up with this situation, which situation is now threatening the institution we belong to, which is the legislature. And as you know, this is the apex of democracy, that institution. So we are very concerned, but we are very determined to do our part as people's representatives to preserve this institution so that it continues to discharge the constitutional mandate assigned to the institution. Today, I and my colleague had the privilege of meeting the President from the Federal Republic of Germany over a breakfast meeting. We had the privilege to discuss various issues, including the democratic space and generally the governance issues as they are unfolding in this country. We were very sincere and honest in our submissions, and I'm sure they have got their embassy here, which equally will make information available regarding what is obtained. So we are making every effort to make sure that the government realizes that this country does not only belong to UPND as a political party. This is a country which belongs to all of us, and we don't have to be liked by the UPND in order for us to exist. We are all equal stakeholders, including yourselves, as our news senators. I want to just give you the background before I allow my colleagues to give you some of the specific details of what has transpired and where we're going. And what has caused a lot of discomfort to us and the general public is the decision by government and the institutions of government to start indulging in political matters of the political party that has sponsored us to this institution. That we are going to deal with through the channels available, including the courts of law. But our people must stand with us, and we are happy that the CSOs are now realizing the challenges that are unfolding. So without much ado, I'll allow my colleagues to speak, not in a particular order, but to quickly just share with you and compare notes with you. Honorable Father.
Thank you so much, Honorable PF Whip. Allow me to recognize the leader of the opposition in the Assembly, Honorable Brian Wandering. I know that there has been an announcement to the effect that Honorable Wandering is no longer the leader of the opposition. My position is that I await the party leadership to inform me so that I can accordingly recognize whatever they tell me. Honorable Mulenga Kampamba and Honorable colleague from the beginning of Eastern Province, yeah, that's where Lusaka Province starts, or ends, and Eastern Province begins at Ferret. That's my council pride. to speak briefly on just maybe one or two issues. First, we all know that we are a very troubled nation when it comes to democracy. Because what we are seeing now is that democracy is totally unwanted. For some of us, we may think that, in fact, I read an article a few days ago where I was saying people think that UPND fears PF. But the truth is, UPND does not fear PF. What UPND fears is democracy. That is what UPND does not want. Democracy. This is why what you are saying is that everything they are doing is in the quest to kill democracy in this country. And if we are not careful as a nation, by 2026 there will be no democracy at all in this country because there will be no political party to compete with UPND. But maybe the question would be, what is democracy? In my own view, democracy is you having your say in the affairs of the nation, and also me having my say in the affairs of the nation. For those of you who are represented, you channel your views appropriately and your views are advanced. For those of us who are privileged to represent, we receive the views and we advance the views as such. And we are offered a platform on which to tender these views. This being one of the platforms, but of course the former one is the National Assembly of Zambia. This is why you saw yesterday Honorable Kamombe rising up and saying, why is Madam Speaker stopping me or stopping him from projecting his views? Why can't Madam Speaker wait for a member to tender the views and then make a ruling? We will respect her ruling because at the end of the day, when a point of order is raised, we expect that that point of order should be ruled. And when the Speaker makes a ruling, we have to accept that ruling and be able to respect it. But Madam Speaker doesn't want you to say what you want to say. So, but she's even going to rule and tell you you're out of order before you even say what you want to say. And this is why we are saying you can't stop democracy in the executive, you can't stop democracy in the judiciary in the manner you have, and you also want to stop it here. The last hope of democracy is at the assembly. We know very well that the plan by UPND is to completely obliterate PF. This is why they are doing all these things that they are doing. But there's always going to be defenders of democracy. And I think many collaborators will soon realize that the project they are supporting, this UPND project, is actually a bad project when it comes to advancing democracy, because there is nothing about advancing democracy. In fact, what is there for them is, dealing with democracy in such a way that it should not exist. But why would UPND not want democracy? I think there are many things. I have heard that UPND has been planning to be in power in perpetuity. They have been saying we'll be in power for minimum 50 years. And for them to be in power for 50 years, obviously, they should not have competition. This is the truth. If they have competition, there's no way they can go beyond 2026, because Zambians have already said no to UPND. So therefore, kill democracy so that we hold on to power. But listen, this power is not for UPND. This power is for the Zambian people. This is why you, as UPND, you are supposed to be doing the things that Zambian people want. In the last few days, the UPND have succeeded in diverting people's attentions from their troubles. I think the issue of the economy is so bad right now. Minimum is so expensive, fuel is so expensive. Today they even have, the audacity to say we are not increasing fuel because fundamentals have not changed. I have seen the dollar rising from 20 to 22 within 1 month. So how can you say no fundamentals have changed? The things that you use as the reason for changing this is the dollar and the price of this commodity on the international market. But the dollar has moved from 20 to 22. So So you can't come and say nothing has changed. So even things which people are able to see, so what type of people are you? My next point is I want to go to Parliament. Yesterday, my good friend, Honorable Kamonde, rose on a matter of urgent public importance. For those of you who want to acquaint yourselves with the standing orders of the National Assembly, you will realize that there is a portion when members are allowed to raise matters of urgent public importance. So we were in that segment, and Honorable Kamonde rose to raise a matter of urgent public importance, and he was stopped. And then he protested. Okay? After protesting, the speaker chased him. So Kamonde was chased from the house for speaking. Now, how do you get chased for talking? The very reason you were in the assembly. So Kamonde said, you have to explain to me why I should be chased out of the house for speaking. Then she suspended business and went out. Now, when she came back to the chamber, Honorable Anakoka was allowed to rise on a point of order. I want you, my friends, to get this clear. Honorable Anakoka rose on a point of order in the segment for matters of urgent public importance. Okay? And Anakoka was allowed to rise on a point of order. That was very strange for me, because I have never seen anyone allowed to rise on a point of order in the segment of matter of urgent public importance. And yes, Honorable Anakoka, this point of order was admitted, and Madam Speaker made a ruling there and then that half of the point of order was ruled, and she sustained her decision to eject Honorable Kamonde from the House. Then half of it, she promised to rule it tomorrow, this coming Friday. She said that for half of the point of order will be ruled on Friday. That point of order is for the other members, you understand. Now, if I were to ask here, which speaker, which meeting have you ever seen a point of order ruled twice? Because tomorrow, as she makes a ruling, she will be completing the ruling which she began yesterday. I am very, very surprised. Surprised because Anakoka's point of order was admitted when it came in a wrong segment. Secondly, that the point of order was only ruled in half, and the other half will be delivered tomorrow Friday. That's what she said. But here, to just supplement this, some of the members who were cited in that incident were receiving letters today. Those letters were asking for them to exculpate themselves. Some of them have not even received those letters yet. So I am now wondering and very, very eagerly anticipating to see what Madam Speaker, how she's going to make her ruling tomorrow, when she just gave the letters for people to exculpate themselves today, and some of them have not even received those letters. So for me, I actually think that these are predetermined courses of action to suspend members of Parliament, because as you know now, the heads, the budget heads have begun today. And those of you who followed Parliament, the Assembly is discussing heads regularly, because the chairman for the expanded committee has not even delivered the report yet. You can imagine that. The report has not been delivered. Members have not vetted the report from the expanded committee, but heads have started today. And Parliament has got no problem with that. All those irregularities, they have gone ahead. So clearly, my friends, your members of Parliament, particularly the PF, will have to swing through this trouble because this is a design by the European government and those who support them, and we are getting a lot of feedback that actually they are cooperating partners who supported them during elections, those whom they have promised that they will support them politically, they will support them economically, and support support them diplomatically are the ones who are actually sending UPND to do all these things so that at the end of all this process, there will be no patriotic front. But you may get rid of Honorable Sanga from the House, Honorable Kafaya, Honorable Mutile from the House, maybe Honorable Kangenge as well. What you will not be able to do is to kill democracy, because democracy is not about branding. Democracy will never be about Stephen Kamyongo, and it will never be about George Sanga. Democracy is about the Zambian people. It's the course that Zambia has decided to be on as it manages its affairs. So clearly, to import a model from a country which is like Lusaka province with 3 tribes, now converted into 1 tribe, and think you bring it to Zambia where there are 73 tribes, it will not work. I just want to encourage you to be strong in delivering the promises you made to the Zambian people. Today, mini meal is more than 300 kwacha. Please get on the trajectory of reducing it, bringing it back to 50 kwacha for you to survive 2026. Otherwise, mulea.
Thank you so much, Honorable Kafaya, and honorable colleagues from the media. The major point he has delivered is that, look, this time we're supposed to scrutinize individual heads. How much money has been allocated to State House, for example. And some of us today, we would have been helpful to the president himself, because maybe the people around him are scared to tell him the truth. Now, you all know what misappropriation of funds means. Misappropriation of funds simply means the money allocated to this camera is used to buy a phone. Are you with me? The money has not been thrown, but the money intended for this camera is used to buy a phone, which was not approved. That's what can be described as misappropriation of funds. Today, one of the heads we were dealing with is State House. Now you all know that there is only one gazetted State House. One gazetted State House which has the residence for the president and the office of the president. The president does not stay at this designated place. So some of the funds allocated to that State House head will be spent at Community House. So we would have loved to ask the executive as to how that money being spent on Community House is going to be accounted for. Because these who are not telling the president the truth won't be available there to come and answer these queries when they arise. They may ban them now, but people of Zambia will still remember. Okay? So, the point was trying to raise is that you keep us away from the house and pass everything, because we don't want to be asked on this critical issue. So, we are watching. But for us, like we heard about the leader of opposition, the leader of opposition is a constitutional office. And to be leader of the group of leaders, you must have endorsement from those that you are leading. Here it's not like a secondary school where you can choose a head boy and say you are head boy, you are head girl, and life continues. Here you are dealing with leaders who are elected by people of Zambia. So for those who are already leaders to have a leader, they must have the say. And so that circus you have seen of imposing a leader on fellow leaders cannot hold. And so the people that participated in making Honorable Mugire a leader have got a say. And as far as we know, there is only one PF. And one faction that seems to be for government. We shall see how far we can deal with that. I now invite my dear sister, the Honorable P4 Urushi, our national chairlady in the Quarter Front, to make a comment. Honorable.
Thank you, dear colleagues. Good evening, my dear friends from the media. I will be very brief. Dear colleagues, political sovereignty lies rise at every individual level. And that is democracy. And once our democratic space is threatened, it's just not threatened for the Patriotic Front. It's threatened for every other individual. Our colleagues from the UPND are using every tactic to make sure that the opposition lies in state. You see, the reputation of doing what they're doing is killing what every forefather who fought for our independence believed in to die. And I just want to be reminded, there's a video clip that our former president, the first president of this republic, Dr. Kenneth had won. And sometimes we remember before. So sometimes we are in this mess because we listen this. And most of the time we do not analyze the speeches of our political leaders, and hence we make wrong decisions. Most of the promises, I can tell you that the UPND, that's why they're in a panic mode. And to ensure that 2026 is near, and since 2026 is near, we have to crush the opposition. So they're not crushing Mundubile, they're not crushing Gambia or Kampala, they're crushing all of us. They are crushing our families, they are crushing the principles of democracy that we all believe in. They have promised, they come up every time we have free education. May I remind this country that even from the MMP time we had free education. Under social welfare, community development, it would pay for the vulnerable. It would buy uniforms for the vulnerable. This was happening in PF. But the people of Zambia listened less. So we have free education with very limited space of school. And these schools were built by who? These schools were built by the Patriotic Front. The MMD. UPND has not built any school. They are just doing extensions of the schools that we had left behind. At the end of the day, the very core of education is being destroyed. When you go in these public schools, you will find the teacher-pupil ratio is unbelievable. As if that is not enough, you will find a situation where our children have to walk miles and miles on an empty stomach because the bag of minimum is now 300 and something kwacha plus the transport, because some of these orphans are being kept by the elderly who probably board on a bus to go and acquire that minimum. They come up because there's an outcry, minimum is expensive. No, ZNS is putting up minimum in Shoprite. I'm coming from a constituency where we don't even have Shoprite. 3/4 of the MMD, UPND members of parliament are coming from the constituencies where there is no UPND, there is no Shoprite. But look at them in parliament, they're sharing. Yet the people are suffering. Just look at the cost of living. Look at how the healthcare system has declined. Every one of us in here who has been to a public hospital, it's unforgivable. How a system that was flourishing has just died. Every day we are coming from constituencies, and so, dear colleagues, when we speak about these things, this is the reality on the ground. Every day in our constituencies, people are being buried. They are being buried because there is no proper healthcare system anymore. There are no medicines. When we go into parliament and ask these questions through the Minister of Health, Madam Speaker had put up a committee which came up with a report and said, yes, it is true what these members of parliament have said. It was shut down. It was shut down. Today, our colleagues in the rural areas have a threatening disease, anthrax. What is government doing about it? Instead of concentrating on these issues that are life-threatening, you will find they are on the issue of PF. Colleagues, we are in trouble. The moment that we as a people do not stick together, regardless of any tribe, regardless of any religion or social standing, and fight for our country, this is not about shaming the Patriotic Front. This is about all of us. What will we say 5 years from now? What did we do? Did we stand up? Even when we are afraid to stand up and keep quiet, we are also mercenaries of who is doing bad to this country. PF was accused of a lot of things. These are thieves, they are common criminals. They have stolen the money. What money did we steal? in a public coffer. Most of the money that they talk about is invisible money. It is not there. It is not there, dear colleagues. And so, during the 2021 campaign, they have spared a lot of debt on the patriotic front. And this is why they're in a panic mode to ensure that PF does not exist. I will speak about Parliament. I was elected by the good people of Kabushi to come and speak for them. And it is quite pathetic what is happening. Before you can actually air your view and speak for the people that elected you to go and represent them in Parliament, make legislation on their behalf, speak about the injustices on their behalf, you are told to sit down. We are treated like children in that Parliament. And hence, you saw my dear brother, come on, react like that. Because this is a space where we are allowed to speak and air out our grievances. I said that political sovereignty lies in an individual. All of us should have political sovereignty. I should be given a choice, a chance to vote for my leader of opposition. I should be given a choice to vote for whom? I should be given an opportunity to vote for whoever I want, even at presidency level. And there's so people that preach that democracy was being suffocated under the PF are the same people that are doing exactly what they said they would not do. Then my question to the Zambian people is that, did those events really happen? We talk about Kagarism. Look at what is happening today. Look at what is happening today, even in state institutions. This is the worst kind of Kagarism, where you have even civil servants siding with the issues that they know are wrong. Look at how the civil service has collapsed. I worked in the civil service by virtue of minister. Everyone that I have known in the civil service has been fired. Most of these people got employment in Chubaskai. These are people that went to the university and they've excelled as time has gone by. And they've been fired. That is why today you have this incompetence in the government. You will find ministers ask questions on the floor of the house. It is, I will come back. I don't know. Systems have collapsed, and colleagues, if we do not rise up as a country and begin to speak about these injustices, we are all going to face the consequences. It is not even prior to 2026 election, but I hope the Zambian people have grasped something. I hope the Zambian people have learned something. Look at how the agriculture system has collapsed. All our maize is gone. And we have ZNS milling. Where is ZNS milling? Where is the maize coming from? Because as far as I'm concerned, my depots in Tambishi are completely empty. So what are you milling? Is it the GMO we are suspecting you're milling? So these are questions that you, the Zambian people, must rise up and ask your government. It's not about the politicians. It is about this. If you're not infected, you're affected in one way or the other. So this is a story to tell about every one of us, whether at community level, whether at political level, we are all affected. And believe you me, even as we speak now, we know that we're in trouble as a country. So for me, most of the promises, look at the dollar. We left the dollar at 16 kwacha. The dollar is at 22 kwacha. I am a business person. I do business. It is very, very, very difficult to do business in a very unstable economy. I will buy goods today at 22 kwacha per dollar. At 18 hours tomorrow, the dollar will be at 18. I would have lost out as a business person. This is why there is no money in the economy, because it is very unstable to do business in this economy. I will buy the dollar at 18. Tomorrow evening, the dollar will be at 20 kwacha. I would have still lost out. So how do I supply? At the end of the day, you just sit in the houses. People have lost jobs. Look at what is happening at Mompani. Look at what is happening at KCM. Dear colleagues, these are serious issues. The minister came on the floor of the house, busy celebrating at ZCCMI headquarters, saying we have signed the deal, and the country, everyone was in. A man down the line will say it's verbal, and the Zambian people are quiet, and you journalists are quiet. We are not reporting what the ministers are saying. It is always victory. 1 hour it is this, the other hour it is not. At the end of the day, the story still lies. We are not progressing because PF had destroyed the country. Hello, you had told us that 14 hours, things will change. That is the story, and this is the premise that people have voted for you. Because you had assured them that the mess, indeed, if there was a mess, you had told us that the coffers were empty. PF had overborrowed. Look at how much they overborrowed in a space of 2 years. They are almost overborrowing more than what we had borrowed. And you journalists, dear colleagues, are quiet. These are things that you should be naming and shaming. Because when they held press conferences like we are doing tonight, these are the stories that they told you. So when it is the voices of you journalists, you are all quiet. You are all quiet. You should be the flag bearers of the voice of those that cannot speak. Because at the end of the day, if we do not do collective reporting and allow my mother and Kaputa to know what is going on, believe you me, we are all accomplices to a wrong thing. So let us all, my message, especially to the women, Banamayo, we are the ones that are in charge of the home. We should not allow our husbands to buy milk at 300 kwacha plus. These are men that we have had children with. Where will they get money for booking all of the school fees and other issues? Not every child is going to a public school. There are children that are going to a private school. What about those? What happens in the equation? Today what we are seeing in Sorry Week is unbelievable. Homosexuality has been highlighted at the worst level. And where is the challenge? We are quiet. We are all quiet. Like we are paying a blind eye. We are, as long as we remain quiet, we are accomplices to a crime that we saw and we kept quiet because we were afraid. So we, amongst others, we pray that others will join to speak out for those that cannot speak, to those that have sinned but have remained silent, to those that are afraid to go to jail for the majority and the common good of our children, our generation. So my plea, especially to the women, the church, NGOCC, where are you? Your children are walking kilometers without food. Your women, yesterday, I witnessed a woman in Parliament being insulted called a prostitute. Right on the floor of Parliament. I've not heard the statement from NGOCC. We are putting it under the carpet. If one woman is called a prostitute, we are all prostitutes. That is the way we were brought up in our own home. So it is up to you, all of you, to now be neutral in your thinking. Stop being prejudiced because they say, all we hear is PF and cadres, PF and cadres. You PND as the West cadres. Their cadres are in the civil service today. The West kind of caderism. You can only be employed if you have a certain name. If you have a certain name, you'll be fired by virtue of having a certain name. Kaunda told us it is one Zambia, one nation. I am Bemba. My sisters are married to Tonga men. My children are Tonga. So how are we going to identify where my children belong? So this nonsense has to stop. And we have to shout it out and say this is wrong. People should be employed based on qualification. People should be based on employed based on credibility. So this is the worst kind of caderism that there is. You talk about Mama PF, Baraposa. Look at those police officers. How they were tear gassing in secretariat. And you people are police is supposed to bring law and order. Eh? The deputy speaker of the National Assembly, was slapped by an officer. That is a very high office. A very high office. I've not heard any of you journalists report that. Because we are afraid. We are ashamed that we will be associated with the truth. And that is what is sad. So dear colleagues, we need to rise and start speaking on the injustices. It's not affecting me, it's affecting everybody. It's affecting our grandmothers and our children. Look at the level of unemployment on the Copper Belt. In my constituency, come at 20 hours in Jamish, you will be battered because they will think you have money. Why? Where our brothers and sisters were working, the mines have been shut. The little money that they were getting from the SAGDA is being given to UPND cadres. What about the majority of the people? Everything is UPND cadres. Everything is UPND cadres. Look at how many people are being compensated today. Eh? White collar crime. Everyone who wakes up, I was beaten. the international community to call out this as crime. As crime. How do you just give somebody compensation? Where did the what do you call that in law? The offices where people were head to find out indeed if those people did not commit those crimes. But we just go ahead and we compensate millions of our money, and tomorrow you come on the floor of that house and you tell us the cancer disease hospital has no machinery and you are compensating somebody 6 million. Colleagues, come on. We need to scream out and say this is wrong. Our brothers and sisters are dying in the hospitals and people are being compensated without no formal clearance that indeed these were injustices. So, dear colleagues, this is a very sad time. We're living in a very sad time. And as long as we do not speak out, it is a very sad time for Zambia. Today I came to Parliament a very sad person, very, very depressed. I looked at myself, I cried in the morning, I said, where has this country, how did we allow this country to get to this level? This is not correct. I'm calling out to President Hakainde Hichilema. He can do better. This is not what the people of Zambia voted for. This is not the Zambia we want. This is not the Zambia that the people are anticipating for. Look at just how the screams are coming out louder and louder every day for change. And indeed change is coming. Whether we like it or not, no matter how you suffocate the democratic space, whether people go to jail, change is coming. You can fight individuals, but you cannot fight the people. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you. When the mother speaks, I'm sure she has touched on literally everything. As a mother, literally everything. She has spoken to what is now seeming like one Zambia, one side. From one Zambia, one nation, we have drifted to what seems like one Zambia, one side. And she has also spoken about Pante. Today you see this, tomorrow you say the other thing. Lero Minister of Agriculture, Vachana Kufama Rono, the more October, November, November. You know, my farmers number one for Chamaronia, Ramaronia. I have asked in the Rama, by asking the Ronia, why is the fertilizer? How? When we say that they don't listen. You may hate us, but please just like the message. You can hate the messenger, but respect the message that the messenger is giving you. We have told them time and again that food should be on top of the priority. They've scored by maintaining the price of fuel this month. We hope maybe the price of the minimum will continue to be the same. So now I will invite our dear brother, the leader of opposition, for us, and I'm sure you heard me making it very clear on the floor that we don't recognize those announcements that the Speaker made on our behalf, because we have got the right to choose who should be our leader. Honorable Mundubire, our those people are died so that they can go and do the news in the next. But PF as government, and all these state apparatus they are using and abusing, police and everything, and I can tell you better. But when the people of Zambia they say it's time up. It was time up, and we are here. Came from the opposition, government, back opposition. Dr. Counter, the most strongest man, was so much wisdom. At the same apparatus, and the one party participated democracy. But he still left through a ballot. So we change this one for Honorable.
Thank you, PF Wick. May I also acknowledge the presence of two members of the Central Committee, Honorable Mammenga, who spoke earlier, and Honorable George Sisanga, who is right here. So, colleagues, in Bemba we said, Ushuko Ukwele Sofu, Nege Shiribabu Yamsofu. And we don't want the Zambian people to narrow the discussion and think it's about the PF. The discussion is about the eroding democracy. It's about democracy. Democracy out there and democracy in Parliament. So the starting point is constitutionalism, because we are a constitutional democracy. And when you talk about constitutionalism, you're again talking about representation and contestation. So there in Parliament, under constitutionalism, we have two things, two principles: in representation and contestation. These two must exist. The challenge you saw that Kagame had is when he wanted to represent his people in Kamvinsa and the rest of the country, he was not allowed to. When you stand up on the floor of the House and you seem not to agree with what one UPND member said, then the presiding officers will find a way of frustrating you. And they will do it, one, by deliberately allowing points of order, or indeed disturbing you themselves. So, constitutionalism equal to representation and contestation. Under the Zambian parliament, there is neither of these two. There is no constitutionalism in the Zambian parliament because representation is hampered. You are annihilated when you want to represent people. When you want to contest, you want to give a divergent view, you're not given that opportunity. I'm giving you this brief background so that you understand why we are where we are. So basically, our friends in the UPND now have a problem with us. They have a problem with us because we're discharging our functions of representing our people and also being able to provide divergent views. Our friends in the UPND have clearly shown that as a government, it is a despotic government, a despotic regime that will rule using arbitrariness. There is no order, there is no respect for the rule of law. What is very sudden is that has now even come to Parliament. The misfortune that has come to Parliament is that even Parliament now is being governed in an arbitrary manner, in a despotic manner. Ladies and gentlemen, countrymen and women, all these letters I have seen, I think this is the fourth letter that I've received from Parliament to exculpate myself. Never heard of it. My record in Parliament is clean. I went through my previous Parliament without a single letter. So this already shows you what we're talking about. We have a governance system where the presiding officers feel they can intimidate members of Parliament into submission. That will never happen. I have made one undertaking to our presiding officers. We will be suspended as many times as we can. But this voice will find its way around to inform the Zambian people about the wrong things that are happening on the floor of the House. So Madam Mary Muti participated in an illegality. I'll start by President Hakainde Hichilema. President Hakainde Hichilema as a president, under Article 74(1), has the mandate to appoint leader of government business in the House, who's the vice president. That's the provision that gives him the power. Okay? So the president shall appoint the vice president to be leader of government business in the House. President Hakainde Hichilema, under Article 74(1), has power to appoint leader of government business. Under 74(2), the Constitution says the opposition political party with the largest number of seats in the National Assembly, in this case the PF, shall elect. For those of you that know what this means, this is couched in mandatory terms. It doesn't say may elect. Shall elect leader of opposition from among the members of Parliament who are from the opposition. This is very clear. Take a lot of interest. You must understand what transpired in Parliament yesterday. So when we knew, we had the feeling that Madam Speaker was going to proceed with this illegality guided by President Hakainde Hichilema, because it's President Hakainde Hichilema who appointed the Vice President under Article 1. President Hakainde Hichilema has gone ahead to appoint leader of opposition under Article 24, Sub-Article 2. So President Hakainde Hichilema is in breach of the Constitution by appointing both the Vice President and Leader of Opposition. Chavinga has been shuttling between State House and the retreats they had at Bush and Parliament. That's the time when President Hakainde Hichilema was negotiating with Chavinga so that he becomes Leader of Opposition. So President Hakainde Hichilema is in breach. Forget about all these letters that are flying around. The one who appointed Chavinga to be Leader of Opposition is President Hakainde Hichilema. So we want to inform the Zambian people that our President Hakainde Hichilema, has breached the Constitution. He had the power to exercise the option of appointing a Vice President as Leader of Government Business under Article 74.1. But under Article 74.2, it's neither Madam Mary Muti, no Mona, no Samba, no anybody else that you know, according to the Constitution. It is the member of Parliament from PF to elect one amongst themselves. And that is the mandate that I carry today. Because my colleagues, honorable members of Parliament, decided to say at this particular moment, you will be our leader. The Honorable Whip put it on record yesterday on the floor of the House and said, Madam Speaker, we do not recognize the announcement that you have made, the letter that you received, because how one becomes Leader of Opposition is by election by his fellow members of Parliament from within the same party. Now, you need to know, I know you've been seeing letters flying around. Members of Parliament wrote a letter to Madam Speaker telling her to say, the 50 of us elected Honorable Mugwidi as Leader of Opposition. We therefore urge you to ignore any other stranger that will write a letter, because then that will not be their blessings. They responded, and we responded back. But they still went ahead and appointed Leader of Opposition. So the Constitution is very clear. I don't have to go to length to interpret it. So what we have, the despotic manner of doing things under the executive is now with the legislature, is now with Parliament. Now I want to bring it to your attention that because of the many promises the EPND made, the promises they've been unable to fulfill, they have now entered what you call a desperate mode. In 2021, they were saying, wait for our budget. In 2022, they said, wait for the IMF. In 2023, they said, wait for the infrastructure. So now they're saying, wait for the smelter for $15 billion. So realizing that they've run out of time, what they intend to do, countrymen and women, tomorrow, this Parliament, under the instruction of the executive, they've instructed this Parliament that members of Parliament from PF should be suspended tomorrow. There have been letters flying around. Honorable Kafuaya was able to explain that there was a point of order raised by Anapoka, wrongly so. He raised a point of order wrongly so, questioning the behavior of honorable members of Parliament. But because it's a scheme, Madam Speaker didn't even care whether or not that particular point of order was properly raised or not. She went ahead and made a partial ruling, something that is very strange to this Parliament. So tomorrow, today members of Parliament are receiving letters to exculpate themselves. So I don't know who is going to analyze all these letters in the course of the evening so that the Speaker has a ruling tomorrow. So if you think through it, your guess is as good as mine. This whole thing is choreographed. I want you to go back to your records, how this Parliament functions. They've got two gentlemen, one Honorable Anakoka and two Honorable Ndele. They get instructions from the presiding officer. Can you please raise the point of order? By the time Anakoka raises the point of order, just know that the ruling is already ready. That is how this Parliament functions. Honorable Fugoe is there. He will tell you 2 months ago, Honorable Kapianga, they have complained of some misconduct by Honorable members of Parliament. Those members of Parliament from the right have never received any letters of exculpation from the Secretariat. But something that happened yesterday, everybody is in possession of a letter. We want to expose Parliament for what it is. So it's Honorable Ndeleki and Honorable Nakoka. Those are on standby. They get instructions to bring it up, and then the ruling is already ready. So they intend to suspend members of Parliament tomorrow. This is in an effort to weaken the party, so that ultimately, if they scan the environment and they think that they can take another step, they may attempt to even expel some members. The whole point is that they want the rule book for Kabushi and Kwacha to be repeated, so that when they steal some elections in some areas and maybe garner some numbers, now they can come back and amend the constitution. Because this is a government that does not respect the rule of law. They tried to come around and thought they could compromise us with piecemeal amendments to the constitution, compromise negotiations. We say no. Any negotiations to do with constitutional amendments will be done at party level. The consultations will be at a very high level. So we have now become the enemy because we refuse to participate in a sham constitutional amendment process. So what we have now is that the executive are now leaning on Parliament. Tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, you will see the number of members of Parliament will be suspended, so that one, they don't debate the heads in this budget. We will discuss what is in this budget and the many flaws that our professionals have discovered. It's a topic for another day. But the main issue is that President Hakainde Hichilema is no longer interested in the 50+1 because he knows it's an uphill battle to get a 50+1. President Hakainde Hichilema no longer wants a running mate in the constitution. President Hakainde Hichilema wants the term of office to be extended to 7 years. That is what it is. So I want you to know what this whole drama is about. Why government, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature would respect a sham retreat from 1 mile somewhere and they want to give it recognition. It's a desperation because this is part of the plan. So they believe that if they went ahead and succeeded, it means that the term of office will be extended from 5 years to 7 years. They will now remove the running mate clause, the 50+1, and of course embed other clauses in the constitution that we have said no to. Maybe give a new definition of what is the meaning of multicultural, LGBTQ. This is the fight that we've been fighting from the beginning. We are unpopular because we have stood firm as a Christian nation. As the representative, Kamala Harris came. We rendered her ineffective because we could not entertain LGBTQ discussions. So now they've come in another form to try and intimidate and victimize members of Parliament so that ultimately those are just among the many things that we want to amend. President Hakainde Hichilema knows he can't do beyond 5 years. He's out on the street now. It doesn't matter. Even if you kill PF today, PF is a club full of members. They will not lose their memory. The ordinary Zambians that voted for President Hakainde Hichilema will not lose their memory. They will still remember that this is the government, this is the president that has put us through forward. Yeah, so that fear is now generating, is creating a lot of interesting ideas. But we want to say this, as a member of the Patriotic Front, as leader of opposition of the PF, as per Article 74.2, we will not stop at anything. We will ensure that we fight for this democracy. We are calling upon the judiciary, the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice, we are calling upon you. You are the last man in defense. This democracy is slipping away, slipping through our fingers. The judiciary if they continue at the same trajectory, then we're all in trouble. What will it take for us to reclaim our judiciary? Is the question. In this parliament, what will it take for us to reclaim our democracy? Because as a country, we are at our lowest. Forget about the issue of cadreism. Cadres now come with police uniforms and guns. The cadres under PF were in bus stations and markets. You could literally stand up to that cadre and ask him to get away or call the police to pick them up. The cadres of today come with guns. They start breaking your door down and beat you up. So that's the sort of cadre that you have today. The cadres you have today are in high offices. They can rule you out of order, even when you're not out of order. They can chase you from parliament when you don't even need to be chased from parliament. I want you to differentiate between the two cadres. Kampambamulenga comes with 60,000 votes. A cadre seated somewhere with the power can chase out of the chamber and does not care how many people come from business. It takes a lot to suspend a member of parliament. If you go down the history on the parliamentary convention and practices, it really takes a lot to suspend a member of parliament. Now, I want to draw your attention to just what happened today with what happened yesterday, so that you see to say the ruling of this parliament. Yesterday, when Kangombe was almost wrongly evicted, members stood up to support him. They've called that disorderly conduct and written to so many members of parliament. Today, when JJ was being evicted from the house, half of the members of the MPNB stood up and they were insulting JJ, insulting all of us. What do you call that? If it's not disorderly conduct, it's not disorderly conduct. Now, we want to see what this parliament will do, because there's only 24 hours in between. Our members have written letters of complaint against those members who stood up, went to JJ and started insulting him in the name of protecting the speaker. Is that their responsibility? The speaker has a sergeant at arms to protect her. It's not incumbent upon a member of parliament to stand up and say they're protecting the speaker and abuse another member. So, countrymen and women, we are submitting further evidence for you to see that we are dealing with a parliament that is skewed, a parliament that can only rule in favor of the UPND. What they did, the members of parliament, they're all there. The clips are all there. We were there, he was there, we were standing there. The social media can feel it. They had no right. There is nowhere in the standing orders where it says members of parliament can stand up to protect the speaker in the manner they tried to. That was disorderly conduct. So, I just thought we could bring you up to speed as to what the UPND is trying to do. Also bring you up to speed as to how compromised our parliamentary democracy now is. So we are having to take initiatives of engaging the media away from the floor of the house for you, the Zambian people, to get information from. Thank you very much. Thank you.